is happening, you guys? Welcome back to Let's Go Win podcast, where we are here to help you win from within. We have an incredible guest coming on today. You are going to hear some of the one-liners that you're just going to laugh out loud because he's incredibly wise. He's incredibly genuine. He's the Southern boy that just has crushed it in business. And he just says these one-liners that just crack me up. Get ready, get your pen and paper. I promise you this episode is absolutely incredible. Justin Goodbread is a Deca-Millionaire entrepreneur, best-selling author, and global speaker who has built and exited 7 companies and helped hundreds of business owners scale and sell. Founder of the Deca-Millionaire Way and host of Deca-Millionaire Decoded, he's known for blending strategy with straight talk to help leaders grow companies that run without them. Well, Justin, what is up, brother? So good to have you on the show. I was blessed to be on your show, and now I get to turn the tables and I get to ask you some questions. How you doing, man?
Man, I am blessed. You know that. We're going to have a good time today. I can't wait to see what you unpack. You and I had a great conversation on my show, and I can't wait for our audience to hear your wisdom. And so thank you for allowing me to come in and impact your team and your audience.
Well, you definitely will bring impact. That's one of your favorite words. I've noticed this word impact. 2 words when you and I talk on air, off air. I hear the word freedom and impact. Let's just start there because I can go into the Deca-Millionaire. I can go into your past and we'll get there at some point. But why those 2 words, man? What is it about impact and then freedom that is like, this is just part of your DNA. It's why you show up the way you show up. But when did you know, like, this is what I need to be in this world?
Yeah, so freedom's an easy one that most of us as entrepreneurs, as business owners, even the go-getters of the world, we recognize. We don't like people telling us what to do. You know, it's like if they tell us don't do something, like don't touch the fire, we're going to touch the fire and we know it's going to burn us. We just got to do it anyway. So this idea of freedom is I wanted to build a lifestyle that allowed me to be who I truly am. Where if that means on a Thursday afternoon, dude, or a Thursday morning, I want to hop on the tractor and mow the fields, so be it. If I want to grab my bride and my kids and go out of the country for 8 weeks, so be it. I wanted freedom where I was completely free from the world in the sense of having to chase the dollar, in the sense of having to worry about what others thought about me, just living to my true authentic self. So what I see for business owners mostly is they want freedom. People in sales, they want freedom. They want where money will provide certain economic freedom, but they also want mental freedom and clarity and things of that nature just to live their true self. So freedom is one of my words. I've sought that since I was about 15 years of age. And perhaps that's what's led to several businesses and various things in my life. But impact. Man, that's my life where you see me light up. You probably recognize it, which you have recognized it. I believe that each of us are being designed and each of us are being molded for who we truly are meant to be. I believe that with all my heart. All of us have gone through difficult times when we're weeping, we're crying, we don't know which way's up, we're floundering. We've all gone through difficult times. And we've all gone through amazing times where it's like, wow, life, we're on top of the mountain. And any of those things that we've experienced in our life is not for us. Yes, it makes us who we are, but ultimately it's helping us and designing us for who we are meant to serve, who we're meant to be, who we're meant to learn, look behind us and say, hey, brother, I see you going through the same hard time. Here's what helped me through this. I remember when my dad died unexpectedly, it rushed my life, JM. It wrecked my life. He's my hero. He's everything to me. And I remember sitting on the front porch of my house, my friend didn't even call him. He showed up just like a friend would. He put his arm around me. He never said a word. I'm sitting there weeping. My world's spinning. And he said one thing. He said, I've been here. I've been here. And I'm going to tell you that this next season of your life is going to be like an onion. Like an onion. I remember saying like an onion. He goes, yeah, kind of like a Vidalia onion. When you peel that next layer back, you may cry. When you peel the next layer back, it may be sweet. When you peel this next layer back, it's going to have some angst and it's going to have some heart. It's going to have some good times. So every single day, it's going to be like an onion. Well, only way he was able to impact my life was because of the hardship he had already gone through. And had he not done that, had he not pointed his focus back toward me, JM, man, my life would not have handle that particular hard season of my life. So to me, at this phase of my life, after a lot of successes, after a lot of failures, after a lot of pain and joy, I want to turn around and just impact as many people as possible. Help them not make the same dumb mistakes I've made or I've witnessed other people make. Help them achieve their highest potential. So that's why I use the word impact.
You've impacted your family greatly. The Deca-Millionaire comes into play. I think when I read into your bio, you hit it before 40, right? Now that not a lot of people can say that, but it wasn't, I know the money is important for the freedom. It's also how you impact so many. I guess my question, my thought when it comes to that word Deca-Millionaire, what was it about that where you were like, this is what really makes sense to me, where the millionaire is cool, but Deca, that's something that really stands out to me. What is it about that word that has really impacted your life to where you said, okay, now, not that I've arrived, because I know you're a growth mindset of dude. You probably will never arrive, but you've reached this level of freedom and now you can impact more people. Does that question make sense? Because I want to make sure the impact in Deca-Millionaire, I see it because I've spent some time with you. I just want my audience to really understand what that means.
Yeah, so let's go back into the 80s. So I'm a child of the 80s. I can remember sitting in audiences with Zig Ziglar and Les Brown and Charlie Tremendous Jones and Og Mandino. I mean, I'm literally at 15 years of age. I'm sitting here listening to these legends of yesterday just preach, if you will, from the stage and literally try to impact the audience. I can remember Jim Rohn specifically saying, everybody should strive to be a millionaire, not for the money, but for whom you become. Remember that statement like it was yesterday. And it was the fact that if you're going to be a millionaire of the 80s, you're going to have to be different than the vast majority of people. And that difference it's going to be a furnace. It's going to be like the forge where a blacksmith's just beating the mess out of that piece of metal. That's what's going to happen if you set your sights on the millionaire status of the 80s. So here I am in a Zig Ziglar conference at the age of 19. And it's a small group. It was only like 150, 200 people total. And I'm the youngest person in there. Everybody else are like our age now in their 40s and 50s and 60s trying to figure out how to move their life. And you got this Southern Texan guy with this deep accent. And he's talking about priming the pump. Literally, you've probably seen the example. He's on stage and he's priming the pump. And he stops in the middle of the stroke. And he said, I'm going to do something I've never done before. I'd like for you to get a sheet of paper out, and I'd like you to write down your 3 wildest dreams that you want to achieve in the next 20 years. Now, that's a long time frame, 20-year time frame, because I'm sitting by people who are in the 40s and 60s at this point. I'm 19. I'm like, okay, by the time I'm 40, what do I want? Well, number one, I have the sheet of paper. Literally, of my 19-year-old self, it says, marry a smoking hot girl. That's number one. So, I'm just being honest and authentic. So that's number one. Okay, cool. By the way, she's in my life. She's everything to me. Emily is everything to me at this point. So number 2 was, I'm going to write a New York Times bestseller. The reason why I wrote that is because just the week before then, my English teacher said, Justin, you're dumb as a box of rocks. And instead of flipping her off or saying something nasty, I said, no, I'm not. I'll write a New York Times bestseller one day, because I was a book reader. And I didn't know what it meant, but I put that down. And then I said, number 3, I want to be worth $10 million. Deca-million means more than 9,999,000, et cetera. Why 10 million? Here's literally the depth of my knowledge at that point. It had one more zero than a million. Literally, I wrote down a million. I went, no, I'm going to put another zero. I'm going to shift the commas over. And my thought pattern at that point, JM, was what I've learned that I lean into more and more. Now, I'm getting to your question now. It was, why not? Why not? Why can't I achieve that? Now, I had Jim Rohn in my mind saying, in order to become a millionaire, you're going to have to change radically. So then my mindset at 19 goes, well, if I'm going to be worth 10 million, no idea what the context was. What do I have to do? Oh my goodness, the Justin Goodbread at age 19 has got to change to attract that beautiful young lady, has got to change to write that book, and has got to change to reach this $10 million number. So now let's fast forward to the age 36. Emily was in my life. We had two beautiful kids. We had just gone through 7 years of tribulation, one of those forging moments, like just beat everything out of us. And we're at the lowest point of our life. We are poor financially, not mentally. We're poor financially, and we had like 7 O's in between the P and the R. I mean, we were poor, okay? I mean, we were living in a double wide mobile home. We had just sold our house on a hill, beautiful home. We lived in a double wide. We had to put plywood down to keep the kids from falling through the floor. The trucks were constantly getting stuck in the mud in the front yard. And at the same time, my name is written in Forbes as one of the best leaders in the finance world. I'm living in a double wide mobile home, dude. So we are poor financially. We're on a mountaintop, and my buddy says, "Hey, Goodbread, what's your wildest dreams?" Boom, triggered instantly back to Zig Ziglar. Now, I hadn't written a book. Can't spell. I own that. I literally can't spell anything. And I was nowhere near Deca-Millionaire. In fact, we were nowhere near a millionaire. We'd already made millions and lost millions, and we were poor financially. So at that point, I said, what am I going to have to do differently? Well, I like this lifestyle. I'm making $250,000 a year out of my business, out of my income, which is good. Back, 15, 20 years ago, good income, but no net worth. What do I have to do to go from the age of 36 to the age of 40 to commit my 40-year-old self, my 19-year-old self before age 40? Radically change my life. So the Deca-Millionaire number is more now than just the extra 0 on the 1. The reality is, now if I'm talking to our business owners, here's the reality that I came to on that mountaintop in West Virginia at the age of 36. In order for me to sustain my $250,000 a year lifestyle for the rest of my life and achieve freedom, okay, I'm going to have a lot more money than I ever dreamt was possible. Because then as a business owner, I was running my kids' income. I was paying them out of the business, which also helped us. I was paying my truck out of the business. I was paying my cell phones, travel expenses, so many things for the business. And when I use not a technical word called normalize, but when I added it all up together, dude, I was making like $400,000 with no net worth. So I was like, okay, for me to have freedom, I want to live this lifestyle that I'm used to. So if I use a simple rule of 4 that they use in the financial space, if I had $10 million earning 4% interest, then that gives me $400,000 a year. So now Deca-Millionaire didn't just become my 19-year-old aspiration, it became my freedom mark. And literally we closed that mark within 48 months.
So let's talk about the 48 months, because I love this idea. Like we don't often talk about the double wide trailer that you're living in, right? Justin's a Deca-Millionaire, man. It's been easy. He's just cruised along, and he was blessed with this business mind. And it's just so easy for people like Justin. Clearly not the case. You said something really important. I hope people heard. I was not mentally financially poor. Mentally, I was abundant and I had this, but yet from an execution standpoint, Justin, tell me about that 48 months, brother. What was the shift? Because clearly your buddy in West Virginia, hey, Goodbread, I love that, by the way. Hey, Goodbread, it's such a good last name. But hey, Goodbread, what is your, where do you want to go? What's your wildest dreams? Great buddy to have. But what was the execution, brother, in those 48 months? Because I think sometimes we lose translation. Well, double wide to Deca-Millionaire, what the heck, man? That's a big jump. So what was the execution piece? What changed there?
Yeah, so one of the challenges I see, and I want to try to make this applicable to our audience to help everybody, because I'm going to say this right off the bat, friends, and if you knew me, you'd know this is honestly God's truth. I'm a blessed man. I'm not the smartest. I'm not the best looking. Man, I was born and raised on a dirt road in South Georgia. I've chased alligators barefoot. I'm literally wearing flip-flops right now, living on a gravel road in East Tennessee. That's who I am. I'm just a country boy. I didn't go to some Ivy League college. I wasn't born with some high acumen and business mind. That's not who I am. What all of us can do is exactly what I learned. Number one, get crystal clear on what you want. Get crystal clear on what you want and align it with your purpose in life. Why did God create Justin Goodbread? I believe he gifted me uniquely, just like he gifted you, JM, uniquely, just like he gifted everybody uniquely. I believe that with all my heart. And so what is it that I want to achieve? So I already knew that I wanted to be a Deca-Millionaire, because I'd promised myself almost flippantly at the age of 19, but why not me? Why not me? That's literally the question I had in my head the whole time. And I knew I wanted to be writing New York Times bestseller. Why not me? If others can do it, why not me? So I had to first get crystal clear on what I wanted to achieve by when. Put bookends on that. It wasn't that I want to be a Deca-Millionaire at some time in my life. No, I want to do it by the time I'm 40. Okay, cool. That was step number one. Step number two is I had no freaking idea on how to do it. I'm sitting here in a double wide trailer, dude, with a wife and 3 little babies, and they're running around and she's not working. I'm barely making 50 grand a year, man. So how in the world can I take this crazy life that I'm now living, this hardship that we had just gone through? We had 3 miscarriages in the second and third trimester, dude. We had, out of my wedding party, 7 people died, suicides. My hero, my dad, died unexpectedly during this time period. Went through lawsuits, man. You name it in business during that 7 years. It was hard. Had health troubles, just major things happen in our life. So it wasn't a bed of roses. It wasn't the yellow brick road, but I knew crystal clear what I wanted to achieve. And then I had this mindset of, why not me? If other people who are dumber than me can do that, if other people who are smarter than me can do that, whatever that is, if other people have already achieved this, then why not me? That's literally the mindset I had. So part of not having a poor mindset is feeding your mind daily with positivity, feeding your mind daily with things that are going to move you to where your outcomes. So number 1 is I had to know where I wanted to go. Number 2 was I had to find somebody who had done it before me. I'm not that smart. Eleanor Roosevelt made this powerful statement. You know, she's a figurehead in our political system, in our history. She said, basically, I'm going to paraphrase it. She said, look, you can't live long enough to make all the mistakes. Learn from others. So I wanted to find somebody who had been there, done that, who had played this game to achieve what I wanted to achieve in the exact same frame, the exact same sandbox I was playing in, and they had a pathway that worked. They were teaching others. So I hired a coach. Now get this, JM. We're living a double wide. Our cars are stuck in the front yard. We have no money. We're making barely $50,000, $60,000 a year, barely, with a wife who stays at home with 3 babies. I mean, we living on duct tape and love. I mean, that's literally peanut butter and jelly became our filet mignon at that point. I mean, we were poor, man, financially poor. My coach, I meet him and he had accomplished everything I wanted to accomplish. I called him up and I said, hey, my name's Justin Goodbread. I want to accomplish this. He said, come sit beside me at the pool. I literally go to his nice mansion and I'm sitting by his pool. He looked like the Godfather, smoking a cigar with his robe on. He said, Goodbread, how bad do you want it? I said, man, I want it pretty freaking bad, man. He said, can you see it? I said, yeah, I can. He goes, can you taste it? Yeah, I can see it, man. I see the vision. He goes, why do you want it? I said, because Jim Rohn said it's who I'm going to become through this process. It's not about the dollars. Never is. The minute you make money, the gods, you lose. I said, it's not about the dollars. It's about, I want to prove to my 19-year-old self that I can do this. He goes, okay, I'm going to charge you $10,000 a month. Jim, I had no income. I had no job. I had no business. I was making $250,000 and I walked away, and here we are barely living any money. We walked away for $250,000 to chase our dreams. Okay. And he says, I want to charge you 10 grand a month. And I went, you lost your ever loving mind. He said, how bad do you want it? And what he was forcing me to do was to go through that transformation as a human, as a husband, as a father, as a business person, as a friend, as a Christian, all these things to say, if you truly want this, then I'm going to coach you, but it's all rooted in belief. Everything is in belief. Do you truly believe you are worthy to obtain this? Do you truly believe you can attain this? Do you truly believe? You know what, JM? He didn't talk to me. He did eventually talk to me about frameworks and about funnels and about the technical. He literally, I spent 60 grand, 6 months, and all he spoke about every single day was belief. So I spent 60 grand. And he said, I remember the statement, I said, dude, how am I going to pay you 10 grand a month? I don't have that much money. We're poor, man. He goes, find a way. If you want it, find a way. And he began talking about belief. You know, within about 12 weeks, I've made enough money to pay him on a monthly basis through recurring revenue by him showing me how to find a way. And then we were playing with the house's money. So the technical came at about 6 months thereafter, like I write about in both my books, Your Baby's Ugly and The Ultimate Sale, and now a coach around. But he wrote 6 months, 60 grand dealing with my noodle. And what I see happens, and here's where the vast majority of us fail. We put the vision out there, we put the dream, we lay it out there, and we even say, you know what, I'm ready to go. And we take the step, and then a spouse, a significant other, a mother, a father, a friend says, you lost your mind. What are you doing? And then we hit that little bit of resistance. The sale didn't go as planned. The car gets stuck in the driveway. It's not for me. Maybe I misunderstood. No, see, I love Napoleon Hill's book, one of my favorite books, Think and Grow Rich, where he says, our dream is on the opposite side of the resistance that we're facing today. We got to go through the resistance. And so what I was able to do in that 49 months, because my coach, who is my hero, worked with me and held my mind true and fixated on that dream. I'll give you this example to kind of drive the point home. When I was in high school, we cut fairways for a golf course. We were contracted to get on these big fancy mowers and stripe fairways. We've seen them on like Augusta National where the stripes are perfectly laser beam. You know, whenever you're on that big mower, I mean, $100,000 plus mowers, if you look down at the ground and you turn around and go back, that mower zigzags. However, if I picked a pine tree thousands of yards away and I kept my eyes on that pine tree, I never looked down, I kept my eyes on that pine tree, I would turn that mower around after going 400 yards straight, and I would look around and it looked like a laser beam was there. My coach taught me, put your eyes on the prize. Don't focus on anything, the noise, the resistance, the pain, the suffering. Go for it. My grandma used to say, son, you'll clean a horse stall out with a fondue fork if it means enough to you. That, friend, is what matters.
I love people from the South, man. You guys have some of the best sayings, and I just can't help it. It just makes me laugh. It also makes me, this is what I love about just talking to you and you as a person. You can't put a label on Justin, right? Labels are meant for boxes. Now, he said, grew up chasing alligators, said the English teacher said, you're dumb as a box of rocks. Meanwhile, he's a reader. And there's no label that fits you is my point, because you're so layered. There's so much depth to you. What would you say, brother, when people give you that, you're crazy, you've lost your ever loving mind? I'm sure the conversation with you coming back home to the double wide, to the wife with 3 kids, and you're like, babe, I got it. I'm going to pay this guy 10 grand we don't have. That's the ticket. I'm sure it wasn't like, hey, Goodbread or Justin or whatever she calls you, I'm sure that's a great idea, you should go do that. She probably looked at you and said, what in the bleep are you talking about? How did that conversation go, brother? And ultimately, or was she that cheerleader that said, you know what? I believe in you. I married you. I'm all in. What did that look like? Because I think so often this is where we do get tripped up. Some people have a blessed spouse or significant other partner at home, and some people have the adversary that is not supporting them. And I want to speak to both, because I know in my audience has both right now.
Yeah.
What did it look like for you, brother? You came home? I want to be in the moment. You're walking through the door, and baby, here's the plan. And I'm just curious what her visceral reaction was to this.
Her exact words, and I'll never forget, I do pretty much said what you just said. I walked in. I never unload on Emily whenever I come home from work. I want to make sure she's all cared for, give her a reprieve from the 3 kids. And I remember our youngest at that point had just threw up all in the house that day. I remember like it was yesterday. Walked in and she had a day. And I said, okay, we got the kids to bed and we're sitting there and she's exhausted and I'm exhausted. We're both emotionally exhausted because we just had gone through 7 years of hell, rough times. And we found ourselves, we had just sold our dream house. We are broke. We moved this little double wide house. Again, the cars are constantly getting stuck and she's at her wit's end. And I said, you remember that dream we talked about? She goes, yeah. I said, I don't know how to do it. She goes, okay. What, do we give up on it? Her exact words, do we give up on it? I said, I don't think so. But I found a guy who can help us. He has a proven system, a proven framework. He's already been there, done that. She said, okay, cool. Hire him. I said, it's 10 grand a month. She said, okay. And her exact words. Now, let me quantify that, because just 5 years earlier, she would have said, you've lost your ever loving mind. Her exact words. 5 years earlier, she would have said that, but we had just gone through a hard time. And my pastor during that time has said, you need to feed your mind with truth. So man, every single time she and I got in the car and we'd go on a trip somewhere, we'd ride to the grocery store, we had Zig Ziglar, we had Les Brown, we had Charlie Tremendous Jones, we had Og Mandino, we had Larry Burkett, we had Dave Ramsey, we had somebody that spoke to us and was feeding our brains with, why not you? Is it possible? Why can't you do this? And so for 5 years, we had saturated our mind. So it didn't just happen like in that moment, just like, okay, I'm going to follow you blindly, Justin. We had literally put ourselves through a mental boot camp for 5 years. Now let's fast forward to most recently. Okay, we've had a lot of success. We've been blessed, man. Grew and started and sold 7 companies, reached a lot of statuses. We've written a #1 Wall Street Journal bestseller book. We wrote a book that went international in China, had over 1 million copies sold internationally within a very short period of time. Reached all sorts of awards. You read the act, they're just amazing that this old country boy born and raised on a dirt road can do this. But here I found myself after taking a company from 8-figure valuation and 9-figure valuation in 19 months as the president of a company, sold it, one of the largest transactions in the financial space in 2023. And I wake up and I am distraught. Like, is this it? Is this all I have? I want to impact people. I want to help people. So we hired a coach. I hired a coach that has rocked my world. And we're sitting, Emily and I are sitting in a 2-day intensive, 12 hours per day. I mean, we're talking just open your soul out, pour it on the table. I got a psychologist type person on one side, and I got a strategist on the other, business strategist. And I'm telling them what's in my heart, man. I'm pouring out what have we accomplished, the hard times, the good times. And I'm at a moment, JM, where I'm gonna be transparent, honest. I am scared. I'm like shaking that my vision that I have buried in my heart right now that I speak about on my podcast, in that moment, I didn't know how to voice it. I knew that big goal that I had was no longer a Deca-Millionaire or New York Times. It was pretty amazing. And it scared me. And I'm sitting there in that moment and I'm weeping. I mean, I'm broken, dude. And you're like, Goodbread, you got the world by the tail, but there's more to life than money. And I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to impact the people who are hurting. I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to impact the people who are distraught right now, who want to break through whatever the resistance, and my heart is bleeding for them. And I lean in and they said, well, you're going to talk about your dad. You're going to talk about your family. You're going to talk about the hard times you went through, the 3 miscarriages. You're going to talk about the things that are like, that we don't talk about as men, especially alpha males like I am. You don't talk about these. And I look at Emily and I said, I don't know, Emily, this is going to cost us more than I want to pay. It's going to cost us more, not money-wise, more than I want to pay with my time, my abilities, my reputation, put myself out there. And she looked over at me, JM, the same girl, put her hands on my knees, and she said, then we run toward it. Then we run toward it. So whoever's listening to me, you may not have an Emily. I hope you do. You may not have a significant other that's there behind you. You have to have somebody in your corner. You have to have somebody. It can be a hired coach like I did. It can be somebody who's going to train you and your significant other or you and get you prepared for life. You have to have somebody who's saying, I can help you see the dream, but now we got to run toward it. So I don't know where people are at this day and age. I know you may have the naysayer, but you can surround yourself with people who can see the dream and will hold you accountable, like that, almost like that coach did in high school, perhaps. You can have somebody who sees that potential within you and they believe in you. If you get that one little bit of wind in your sail, it's amazing how many others get behind you eventually after you prove them wrong.
Yeah, I mean, throughout you kept saying the word we. It wasn't I wrote. If you guys noticed, throughout that entire story, he kept saying we. It wasn't I did this, I did that. That's where you know that so often we don't recognize whether Emily was a part of it or raising the kids. It doesn't matter. She was supporting this vision, this goal, this, and not only supporting, she's the one saying, all right, let's get it done. Like, how are we going to do this? I hope everybody does have an Emily in their corner. And unfortunately, I know that's not always the case. Gosh, I want to go so many places with this. So you keep mentioning these people, Zig Ziglar, Les Brown, you rattled off about 4 or 5 names. Today, brother, are there names that you're still feeding that mind with? Because you and I off air were talking about, gosh, these are some, the people that we've looked up to in the self-development world and the people in this belief space, if you will, they're aging out. And some of them are now, they're not with us any longer. Are there still people out there that you look up to that have really pushed you? Because you talked about this 2-day intensive. That sounds incredible. But is there, other than, maybe something you're doing, who are you listening to, brother, that's really filling you up right now?
Yeah, so I have different people that I let into my life for various reasons. And if I look at them as a holistic person, I can find flaws in everybody. I can, because I can find flaws in myself. I lived myself for 47 years. Trust me, I'm not perfect. I know where I got to improve. But so when I listen to people, I allow people to come in my life and my family's life. For example, anytime I'm in the car with my 2 boys, I turn on Ed Milet. I love his attitude. I love how he breaks things down for them. So I literally, every time we're in the car with my boys, Ed Milet's on the radio station. Whenever it's my daughter in the car, one of my colleagues in the public speaking world, his name is Graham Cochran. Graham Cochran, he's a great dude. I love his life. I love his empathy. And I want my daughter to hear him because she's looking for a guy. She wants to marry somebody someday. And I want her to, this is the type of man, the type of leader you want in your life. And I don't put the qualifiers around them. I just want them to permeate my children's life. Whenever there's a family unit together, anytime I can find John Maxwell, man, I put John Maxwell on, especially his most recent stuff is dynamic and powerful. Personally, I like Myron Golden. He's new on the scene. Myron Golden, he's a very well-spoken, very distinguished Black man with a great, beautiful beard. I'm jealous of the beard. He was a pastor. In fact, the church he was a little pastor in, my family actually helped start when I was 6 years old. So there's some connectivity, but I love his mindset specifically around the ability to sell, not in a sleazy way, but the ability to sell and impact people. I let him speak into my life. Those are my podcasts, but dude, I'm a voracious reader. I literally read a book a week. In fact, Roy Vaden, you may or may not recognize that book. He wrote the New York Times bestseller, Take the Stairs. He's fixing to release a new book. In fact, I think it came out last week, Wealthy and Well Known. I would challenge everybody to pick that book up. It's a powerful book. So I'm letting someone like my colleagues today who are writing new books. I was on stage with Dr. Benjamin Hardy. He just released a new book called Scaling Up. Benjamin Hardy and I could give him a call today. He's got a powerful book. So there are these individuals that I allow to speak into my life for various things. One of the things though I do, and this sounds a little adverse, we don't have a television in our house. One of the things I realized is this. People who I aspire to be like are readers and educators. They read so they can impact others. They read so they can teach others. They're not entertainment driven. They don't go home and sit on the couch and watch TV and veg out on Netflix. That's just not who they are. So I'm not somebody who's going to veg out in front of a TV or sit down and do goofy things. Now we don't have cable because we live in the country. I do kick my son's tail every single night I can in Call of Duty or Madden. I'm going to spank their butts. It's great. I love talking trash to them. I mean, it's our little relationship we have. But for me, I do let a lot of people speak in my life tactically at this particular point.
A book a week. All right. So, I mean, we're talking 52 books a year. Are you physically reading this? Are you doing through the headphones? You do both? What does it look like? And top three. This may be very challenging for a voracious reader because I get this question. I hate it, but at the same time, it's pure gold. I wrote down Ray Vaden. I know the name, but I don't know his work. So I'm going to look that up. But tell me when you sit you're right like that, top three books that you're like, man, everybody's got to read these. If you want to reshape your life, you want to have that 20-year vision, you want to go accomplish these are the books that are pure gold.
So I've read 5 books every single year for the last 25 years, the same 5 books. Okay, here they are. Very first book I read is Think and Grow Rich by Robert Kiyosaki. Every year. My kids listen to that book every time on Audible when we go on vacation. I offset Robert Kiyosaki with Dave Ramsey, Total Money Makeover. 2 extremes, 2 principles. My life fluxes in between those 2 principles every single time. I like the book Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Love it. Okay, Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. So Rich Dad Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki, Dave Ramsey, Total Money Makeover, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Those are my top 3. I read the book of Proverbs, 1 Proverbs a day from Solomon every single day. That's my morning meditation. I read it every single day. Why? He was considered to be the wisest person ever. His wealth has never been matched since then. Elon Musk, Bezos, none of them had the wealth that Solomon had at that particular point. So he has wisdom in his book of Proverbs. And then I love the book by George Clausen, my mind just went blank as I said that. The Richest Man in Babylon. Richest Man in Babylon. And basically, it's the principle of pay yourself first. And I surround my life with those 3. 3 are kind of finance books. 2 are kind of spiritual / mindset books. Now, outside of those, there are a lot of books that I could recommend. I've mentioned a few of them on the show. You have some books behind you that I've actually read. All those books behind you. They're powerful books. Okay. Now, here was the secret that I learned early on. I took and mastered speed reading. I literally spent 6 months working on speed reading. Speed reading is not just how fast can I get through a book. Speed reading is how can I read a book quickly and retain the data points? How can I know what to look for? So whenever I look for a book, to your first part of the question, I got Roy Vaden's new book, Rich and Wealthy and Well Known. It just came in the mail yesterday. I'll probably read that Friday afternoon or maybe Saturday morning early. It'll take me about 2 hours to read that entire book. It's about 350, 400 pages. I'll have a yellow marker and an orange marker. And I'm going through there. I literally open the page and my finger, through speed reading techniques, I can read that entire book. And if I see something I want to double click on, yellow highlighter. If I see something I want to triple click on, orange highlighter. I get through the book and then I stop and let it rest. I go back to it on Monday and I go back through just my yellows and my oranges. Okay, cool. And then from that is now principle. How do I apply that to my life? I take that book. I then take me a short half a sheet of paper, put it in the book and say, here is what I'm working on from the principle of this book. And that's how I begin applying. Because it's, wisdom is actually knowledge applied, is what wisdom is. We gain knowledge, but unless we apply it, it doesn't do us any good. So I know a lot of people who read books and they collect all this data, but they do nothing with it. Same thing with the podcast. I'm riding down the road and I hear something. Literally, I pick my phone up and I say, hey, chat, write me a post on this. Give me an instruction. This is what I just heard. Write me something I can use in my life. Put it to the side. And then on my meditation, in the morning times, I wake up, do my exercise, and I block off about an hour to 2 hours every morning where I'm reading these notes and I'm reading my meditation. I'm thinking about it. I'm saying, how can I apply this for my kiddos? How can I apply it for this client? How can I apply it in that keynote when I'm in front of so-and-so, in front of 10,000 people in a month or so? How can I use this to help them impact their lives? So that's how I read, and that's how I utilize this knowledge to help me and help others.
Yeah, you kind of went there. I was going to ask specific with AI is obviously a huge part of our world today, right? From 2 years ago, it was this, chat GPT. And now it's like, look, it's a huge part of kind of every day. Are you using it in the business every single day? How have you decided to utilize AI to your advantage?
So to answer your question, part one, we use it in our business through different things. We use it throughout a marketing system. There's several different AIs I use for editing stuff, for collaboration, for file management, for email automation. There's several different AIs that our team has built throughout the business. Now, me personally, I use AI through I like Chat, Gemini, Gronk, and Claude. Those four are mine. Because I've read at the point in my life where I want freedom. Well, I don't want to be tied down to ridiculous meetings, or I don't want to be in front of cameras nonstop creating content for our coaching clients. We have the privilege of literally rocking the world of business owners and helping them double or triple the value of their company in as little as 18 months. I don't want to spend all my time dealing one-on-one. So what I'm able to do is I can take what I read in a book, or some question I receive. I can use AI as a research assistant like so many of us often do now, but then I'll take that and I'll build me a file or project for week number 1 of the year, week number 2 of the year, week number 3 of the year. And I grab all my data points, and on Monday afternoons from 4 to 6, I'll dump and I'll be in a flow state where I'm putting all my thoughts down and I leave it. And then on Friday morning, I take my flow state from that week as I've been meditating and thinking about it. And then I'll usually create a very long form blog post, so like 7,000 to 8,000 words that I write, or a long form podcast. Like I've done 45 an hour long podcasts on my podcast where I'm teaching something. Once I'm able to push that out cohesively through my thought, through the research, through organizing my thoughts, experiences, stories, narratives, teaching experiences, impact, whatever the word is through that particular course, then we have systems built where my team can take that one body of knowledge and cut it up. And we do probably 30 to 60 social media, blog, newsletter posts per day using AI now. 10 years ago, I couldn't do that. Now we're able to impact literally millions of people every single month throughout our different processes.
You've mentioned your team a few times, and I think this is the part that even myself, I don't recognize, or I don't publicly speak about it as often as I should. So often you've consumed the information, you've done the highlights, you've taken this, and now you've applied it. But then you have this group of people that you've surrounded yourself with that now can go execute, implement, get it out to the world. Talk to me about building that team, what that process has looked like, how big a team it is, and what was like when you're hiring somebody specifically, what are you looking for? Because I've hired thousands of people. You were in the finance service world, so I'm sure you've hired thousands of people. Really getting clarity on what you're looking for, guys, to hire the team. This is where I think there's pure gold. So talk to me about that team, Justin, that you've been able to put together.
Yeah, you're right. This is get you a sheet of paper out, listen to this next section over and over. I'm gonna give away my best stuff here, guys. First and foremost, you never start with hiring the team. You always start with refining your vision. Here's the key to building dynamic businesses is your dream, your particular dream as the owner, your particular dream as the manager of your department, whatever you're at in life, your particular dream as the father or mother of your family, whatever your dream is, has to be big enough to hold the dreams of all your team members and all the customers you serve. So my vision for my company that I now operate, I have 4 companies. My vision for my companies have to be big enough that the employees that I want to hire and the customers we're going to serve, they have to be able to see their dreams satisfied within my greater dream. That's number one. Most of us have never clarified our dream in such a way that it impacts the people that we have the privilege to serve, and that's the team members we hire. So point number one is your dream for your business has to be so crystal clear that whomever you bring onto the platform, team or customer, they can see it, they can taste it, and they're willing to charge hell with a water pistol to get behind that. Step number one. That's the number one flaw that I see with most business owners. They don't do that. Second thing is I look at business through the lens of 8 areas. I write about this in my book, Your Baby's Ugly. I'm going to rattle these off real fast, but there's 8 areas to every business. You have planning, where are you going? Leadership, how you're going to help people, sales and marketing, 2 different areas, your team, your people, operations, how you're going to deliver, finance and legal is 8 areas. So when I was growing up, Jam, we had these merry-go-rounds, and I'm sure you've seen them where they spin round and around, these little handlebars you hang on to. We had this kid named Bubba. Bubba was the typical Bubba. He was like 6'6" and he weighed 300 pounds, and you didn't want to mess with Bubba. Okay. I'm not 6'6" and I don't weigh 300 pounds. So Bubba would get on one side of the merry-go-round. We get on the other side. We'd be 4 or 5 of us on offset Bubba. And as long as Bubba was over there, that merry-go-round would just flow and it would spin and spin and spin. We get it going so fast. Eventually, Bubba would let go. And whenever Bubba let go, that thing started wobbling. It started getting all out of balance, and all of us would end up falling off. We'd get up giggling and laughing. And you can see it in your mind's eye right now. Your business is no different. You as the owner, or you as the leader of your organization, the sales leader, whomever you are a polarizing Bubba. You have a big personality, you have a big dream, you're a heavy weight in your company. And oftentimes what we do in our ignorance, and that's not a slam, friends, I'm right there with you, is we hire more Bubbas, just like us, and we all get on one side of the business. Well, if you heard me, Emily, my love, is directly opposite my personality. Most of us in sincere relationship have opposites there that are with us. So in business, the very first person you hire is the person opposite you. And if you think about that merry-go-round, those 8 areas of business, you're trying to hire those individuals almost like that merry-go-round that'd be color segmented, and you're trying to place them on the outside. What transpires as you build a team is that you end up finding yourself moving from the outside of the merry-go-round to the inside of the merry-go-round, right in the very center of it. And now everybody looks to you as the expert to be the best salesperson, or be the best operations person, or be the best a closer, or the marketer, or whatever it is. You got to be everything in the company. And that's where we falter, and that's where we fail in companies. In fact, the premise of my book, Your Baby's Ugly, is that we as the owners, or we as the managers of our division, don't realize we've created a bottleneck, and our baby, our business, or our division is not attractive to an outside buyer or to top line level management. So in order for us, as we're building a team, it's not to come to the middle, it's to completely get off the merry-go-round, sit back and videotape it. It's literally to sit back and watch the team roll that merry-go-round around and around and around, and for you to never step in and solve their problems. Now, there's lots of tactical exercises that many people talk about, and they all work. But the concept for us as business owners is we literally have to think about it, that we're going to hire opposites. We're going to get people totally different than us, and then we're going to give them control. And that's where it gets hard. We're going to give them control of the business. We're going to let them make decisions. Right this very second, as we're speaking right now, my 17-year-old son is sitting in a cubicle back here working. What he is doing right now, JM, is he is on my LinkedIn account, which has tens of thousands of people, and he is communicating as me. Think about that. Would you, as the business owner, allow your 17-year-old son or daughter, whomever, communicate in front of your peers as you, and not even second guess it, not even think about it? The only way that comes about is by building a team, building systems and processes, all those things we know about from various books. But for me to say, okay, if he messes up, what's the worst thing that can happen? It'll be fine. We'll fix it. That's just the mindset when it comes to building teams you have to have if you're going to scale businesses, build enterprise value, or you're going to move your department or your division to where it needs recognized.
So good. I see why people hire you to speak. Because I keep laughing. I'm charging a water hill with a water pistol. You have so many one-liners. It's unbelievable. We're almost out of time. I have to just ask, I love that you have put your son in the business and I think it's incredible, right? This is my task for my kids this year. I said, look, I don't care what business you build. Yeah, you're not going to go out and do work like I did. Look, if you choose to, that's fine. But I want you to build a business. I want you to put your hands on AI and work with. This is important because I don't want you to fall behind. Tell me and tell me about the family with your son and being involved. I love that. And then also, as you round that up, where people can find you, Justin, because I could listen to you all day, brother. I'm sure my audience could too, but I know you got stuff to do. So talk to me about those last two things, if you would.
As a business owner, as somebody who's running a division, you have the privilege of bringing your family alongside you. I've always believed in my person. This is my belief system is that God gave me my family. Number one is my number one ministry. And so if I don't want anybody else influencing them more than their mother or perhaps me, the mother's a rock star. I want her in their lives as much as possible. I want them to see the rewards that they experience and not be trust fund babies. So they need to see what it's like, in a business environment. They need to see. So my daughter, who's now in college, she's going to be here at 12 o'clock working in the company. My 13-year-old will be here today. It's summertime. They're not out chasing alligators like I was as a kid. They're going to be in the company working. He's going to be vacuuming the floor. She's going to be washing the windows. He's going to be raking the yard. He's going to be doing physical labor until we can get him into a system he can do social media, for example, or picture management, things of that nature. So I think we have an unbelievable ability as business owners to bring our children alongside us and allow them to be a part of our life. So I've always had this premise that I want them to see the roots, to see how hard it is to make money, see that it's not about trading time for dollars. That's the most stupid thing out there, that if they can gain an ability, at the end of the day, JM, I have this belief, and I know it's stupid, but I believe this with all my heart. I don't care if they can do algebra, no history. I don't care all that stuff. If they can look a man in the eye, a woman in the eye, and be a man or a woman of their word, then number one, they win. Number two, if they represent the Goodbread name with as much integrity as we can teach them, they win. And number three, they realize the sky is the limit. It's possible. People dumber than them or smarter than them or better looking than them or better educated, everybody, worse, whatever it is, they can accomplish it. If they get those three things in their life, dude, I don't care. I don't care if they want to go work a 9 to 5. Have at it, because you're able to achieve with greatness whatever you can achieve. So that's my core belief. We share that. I live that vicariously. So if you want to see my life, follow us on Instagram. We literally live open and authentically. You'll see me driving the tractor, having the guineas chase us behind the yard. It's crazy. We live a crazy life. It's fun, though. It's fun. We live a life of freedom. If you're interested, like, hey, Goodbread, I'm a business owner, man. I'm stuck. I want freedom, but I also have these big dreams out here, man. I'm tired of wasting money. I'm tired of growing time. I realize that wealth is created exponentially. I need to wrap it up. Hey, check out justingoodbread.com. On there, you can learn about our coaching offers. We have a lot of good coaching offers that we can help you if you fit our right model. And then maybe there's a downloadable that you need. We have a downloadable that JM will put inside the show notes that helps you think about the 6 questions that most Deca-Millionaires should be asking themselves, but few can. You ever thought about being a Deca-Millionaire? Why not? Why not you? If I can do it, you can do it. And I'm not just saying it, friends. I'm dumb as a box of rocks. My English teacher told me that. I'm born and raised on a dirt road in South Georgia, live in one East Tennessee. But in all seriousness, that's kind of a little bit of laughter here. But in all seriousness, friends, if I can do this, anybody can. But you just have to get your right mindset in place. If you're like, hey, Goodbread, what are those 5 questions or 6 questions that every Deca-Millionaire must answer, but few can? Hit the downloadable link that James will share, and you can look at that, and you can subscribe to our email list and everything through that process.
Incredible, brother. I just appreciate how genuine, authentic, and just unapologetically you that you are, man. I think it's incredible, and I'm just blessed to have you in my life. So thank you for sharing, and just, man, just thanks for showing up. You're an awesome dude.
Thanks for having me, JM. Hope this helps you and your audience, brother.
Well, I don't know if you guys have stopped laughing yet. I have written down so many. The running up the hill with a water pistol or charging the hill with a water pistol. Just some of the merry-go-round where he's talking about Bubba, but he brings it back to where it totally makes sense. He's got this incredible ability to take something that's complex and make it really simple. I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. I loved him talking about refining the vision and making sure that your vision is so great that everybody that works with you, if it can fit inside everybody that you serve, that your vision is big enough. I think it's one of the best pieces of opinion and or nugget, whatever you want to call it, that you can give. I think it's absolutely brilliant. So you guys, I hope you enjoyed as much as I did. I can't wait to go check out his books. And as he mentioned, please go check out, answer those 6 questions, see if being a Deca-Millionaire, it's not about the money. It's about creating the impact and freedom that you want so much in your life. So until next time, you guys, remember, your mindset matters. I appreciate you all so much. We'll talk soon.